Hi everybody, and welcome to this NHVR webinar for our monthly release for our NHVR portal. It's good to see you all again. I'm just going to go through the agenda for today. We'll do a little bit of housekeeping, got a little bit of news, we'll do a demo for you as well, and then we'll go to our roadmap. So just like to introduce today who we've got online. We've got John Barry, our product manager, myself, Julie McGee, Stephen Ryan, one of our business analysts, Carly Furlong, who's one of our newest team members, Senior Digital Engagement Officer. Of course, if you've got any questions after this, you can always shoot them through to our email at digital@nhvr.gov.au or check out the Help Centre. So we'll get straight into the demo and the first card, and I'll be handing over to Steve.
Great. Thanks, Julie. Thanks for joining us today to see the features for this release. So the first one I'll cover is around refusal templates that can be generated automatically by the portal. So hopefully this will improve processing time. So in the case that a case has been refused by a road manager, then we'll be able to get the documentation out to the customer more quickly by using the features of the portal. So I'll just pass onto the screen now to show how this works. So this is what the case would look like in the case where it has been refused due to a refusal from one of the road managers. We'll now be able to select application refused, then select the road manager, and a draft document can be generated. So our access team will be able to use this document to then be able to finalise the case, hopefully slightly quicker than they could when they have to manually produce these documents. So that should reduce turnaround times overall to get those results out for those cases. So that's everything. It's a simple one, but it's a small move towards, again, more process efficiency. So that's what that feature is about. Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Steve. And just on to our next one. And for this one, I'll be handing over to John.
Thanks, Julie. So we have already updated the portal to support sending out an additional consent for applications in Queensland. The Queensland Transport and Main Roads works closely with Queensland Police Service to organise escorts, and this includes movements that may not be on state roads. So there's a bit of a tidy up here on the criteria to make sure that the consent that was being generated was always valid and correct for that particular application. And so the criteria you can see listed there, obviously road managers, so local governments in particular in Queensland, council only roads, and for vehicles length that are greater than 60.5 metres. The feedback we've got so far, is, particularly from Queensland Transport Main Roads, has been that this has improved visibility and it provides the same workflow that they use to manage their own consents and the facilitation of escorts with Queensland Police Service. So you should see for those operators that have applications in Queensland and permits involving police escorts, that process for organising that escort should be a lot more efficient now that TMI have the ability to manage that within the portal.
Thanks, John. All right, so just a couple of other pieces of big news that we'd like to share with you. We were very successful in being the winners of a Digital Transformation Award handed out by the Australian Business Awards. So we're really pleased to have won that. And thank you everyone who's been on the journey with us, and also a big congratulations to all of our past and present team members for that. And also too, we'd just like to do a big shout out to everyone who took the time to provide us some responses with our customer satisfaction survey. It's been really an overwhelmingly positive response, and we'll be starting to work through that feedback over the next coming months. And thanks for some of those suggestions, which are really brilliant, and thank you very much for that. All right, so we're starting to get towards the end of the year. So now the roadmaps for 2020, 2021, and I'll hand back over to John to have a chat about the roadmap.
Thanks. So the main changes that we've seen is in the PBS initiative. It's our major initiative for this financial year. The case tracking and the application submission, so that's the Dropbox feature. We had been aiming for getting that into a beta and live state before the end of the calendar year. Because we've had a couple of delays in actually achieving that, we're going to change the delivery date there till the end of January. And that'll provide sufficient time for us to move into the beta phase, which is where we'll get PBS assessors and certifiers to use that built product. To date, those assessors and certifiers who've been involved in the alpha phase, you would have seen the prototypes, and we've taken a lot of feedback on from there. But obviously, the next step is to start playing with the real system. So that will include work that came up for the Open Data Exchange, so that's the API, and being able to use that initially to submit an application in a similar way you could and will be able to do through the portal, and also to be able to retrieve the status of cases in a similar way that the case tracker works and will work in the portal. So that process we're looking to kick off between December and January, and look to go live at the end of January with that new initial feature. And in parallel to that, we'll be working on the smart forms, which represents the full end-to-end PBS application process for PBS assessors and certifiers. So there's a slight change there to ensure that we spend a proper amount of time doing that beta phase, which is very important for us. And we've got a few more resources on board now, so we'll be moving ahead with that application smart forms alpha as well, so that we can try to deliver as much as we can in January, February, and through to the end of the financial year. We've also had kicked off in earnest now the work on the digital asset management. So this is the strategic local government assessment program that's funded from the Commonwealth, where funding for assessment of bridge structures for local governments has already commenced and data has come in. We will be kicking off the initial prototype build for that asset register to allow the collection of that information into the portal, and ultimately allow local government road managers to manage and leverage that information to inform their consent decisions. And it'll also be information, importantly, that will be available to particularly oversized and overmass operators through the route planner, so that you'll be able to see information in a lot more detail to what you can even see now. So we have a layer that is available already in the route planner. This will provide a bit more information and tie it to reference vehicles, which means that you'll be able to see targeted assessment information based on the oversized overmass vehicle that you're planning for in the portal. So very important initiative, and leveraging that information will be coming into a beta phase from around December as well, and we're looking to go live with that feature at the end of April. We'll continue the work on maintenance, access accreditation and vehicle standards. There's a number of bug fixes and minor improvements that are getting released almost every other day at the moment, and we'll continue to do that. You'll have seen a number of communications from an access space around permits, and there'll be more work you'll see coming up around accreditation as well. So continuing to expand and just and grow the functionality that's available in the current portal.
Thanks, John. So a few roadmap changes. As we said at the beginning, and I'll just get to that information now. If you've got any inquiries or questions about any of that, please feel free to shoot an email through. You can use support at NHVR or digital@nhvr.gov.au. That's it for this month's webinar. Thanks so much for attending. Our next webinar will be on the 18th of November for our next monthly release. I'll hope to see you all again then. Thanks so much for your watching us today. Cheers.